This is my first time with this, and so I'm going to start with just a little brief history, give you an idea of why I'm here. In February of 1979, at my 41st birthday, I was given a USAF Air Force flight physical at Dyess Air Force Base in Abilene, and when the flight surgeon did the rectal exam, now in those days, this was before the PSA test, he did the rectal exam, and I just about took his sink off his wall for it. So he set me up right away to go to Wilford Hall for further testing at the urological department there. Everybody assured me that I was too young to worry about prostate cancer. Well, 3 days later, after the biopsy, the test came back and I had adenocarcinoma of the prostate. My treatment options were chemo, which at that time was kind of iffy, gold bead radiation, where they implant the gold beads in the prostate area, which had about a 60%, as I understand it, rate of success, and surgery, which had a 90% plus rate of success. My father died of cancer just 4 years prior to that, and I was really scared. So I chose surgery, even though they told me that I would be impotent and incontinent. And those words didn't even register with me at all. I sure could have used a seminar like this, or support group, or more information, but I chose the surgery. I had a radical prostatectomy with margins at that time. And there wasn't much concern in those days for sphincters and for nerves. So they pretty much cleaned me out, I think. While I was still hospitalized, I was retired, medically retired from the Air Force. And so the job I loved, flying C-130s as a command pilot worldwide. I peed all over myself when I couldn't manage my condom catheters with my leg bag, and I was no longer a complete sexually functional male. I was emotionally devastated. In 1980, I got my first penile prosthesis, one of the Scots that Dr. Jones just mentioned. It was an inflatable, it worked great, and I felt whole. Also, thousands of Kegel exercises had given me most of my continence back, so I was doing pretty well with my emotional health. Moving on now, in early 2011, I went to my urologist in Austin, Texas, and one of the rods in the malleable penile prosthesis that I had at that time was trying to poke its way through the tip of my penis. I had very much constant pain, and I was really worried about that. He referred me to Dr. Jones, who evaluated me and then removed that prosthesis down here in San Antonio. After I healed, he installed one of the inflatable prostheses for me. And 6 weeks later, taught me how to use that. My wife Chris and I have enjoyed that immensely. I was no longer E.D, erectile dysfunctional, but actually E.o.D, erection on demand. So I was very tickled about that. I was getting a follow-up exam in early 2012 with Dr. Jones, and I think I dribbled all over his floor because that's when he first told me about the urinary sphincter and offered to test me, and I got the test, and he installed the urinary sphincter for me. And no longer did I have to have pads in every single pocket. I was one of those 10 pads a day when I was very active type of people. And My wife always had to have pads in her purse. I had pads in the glove compartment of the car. They were just all over the place, and actually my pads were controlling my life. That was just a tremendous relief for me to have that urinary sphincter. Anyway, I know that I'm just, I was finally whole and complete. I know I'm not the same type of person. I'm not the same person at all when I am no longer sexually functional and have urinary incontinence. And Dr. Jones and his staff have restored me and made me whole. And for that I am extremely thankful, let me tell you. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Oh, by the way, I had very little pain with any of the 3 surgeries that I had. I controlled it primarily with Tylenol, and so it really wasn't any problem at all. And that's about it for me. Any questions?